Hi, I'd like to talk to you about how markets solve economic crises. The reason I want to go through that is, or this, I think is a great example of how prices work and the power and the incentives they create for both buyers and sellers. So let's create 5 buyers. Let's do my great artwork here. I'm going to make my buyers, let's say, green. See if it works. So here, I'm actually going to put them down here. Here's 1 buyer, 2 buyers, 3 buyers, 4 buyers, and 5 buyers. Yay! And let's say this person's willing to pay 400, up to $400, 300, 200, 100 for this guy right here, and nothing. Give it to me for free or I'm not taking it. And for our sellers, let's create them over here. So here's 1 seller, 2 sellers, 3 sellers. I love their legs. 4 sellers and 5 sellers. Check it out. And in this case, let's make sure I put underneath them. So let's say they need something to produce it. So here's 50. He's willing to produce it for as little as $100, 200, 300, and 400. I could have said 0 for this person. Some people are willing to produce products for nothing. Not the norm, I think, but let's say I'm going to put $50 for him anyway. Here's our suppliers or sellers. I'll just put supply, and over here, let's call it demand. I wonder where we got those terms from. We could just say buyers and sellers, but let's call it supply and demand. Ta-da! So let's put our curve up here, and I already put some lines to try to make them a little straighter than I sometimes make my lines. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 100, 200, 300, 400. And then let's put red dot here. So at 50, that's right about there. Come on, let me just draw a dot. 100, that's right about. I'm just going to draw it this way. Here's the first one. And then for the second one, second person needs at least 100. And so there's our 100. Come on. 100. And then the third person for the third one produced 300. Really, it's right here, here. Okay, we're going to make it look a little bit neater. Okay, just to avoid confusion, we'll just draw these lines right here. So let's just say we have a line that came. So fifth person, what, 400? So that's about fifth, 400, isn't it, right there? This is about 300. Well, good. And then for our green line, 100 right about here. 2 units, 3 units. So what is it? Straight line, straight down to here. And so here's our demand curve. I'm going to just put a D for demand, but I wrote out demand down here, and here's supply. I guess I should use red for supply. So there's our supply curve. Now, how do markets solve economic crisis? That just looks like a supply and demand curve. Well, let's talk about it. A few years ago, I was living in Texas, and as I was heading to move to Texas, there was a hurricane that went through, I believe it was, Galveston. And one of the things that Galveston found was, once your house or town is hit by a hurricane, you tend to want to clean up afterwards. And it's nice to have plumbers and other people who are willing to work. Well, there's a huge increase in demand for services like plumbing services, tree services. And a lot of these people said, hey, if there's a huge increase in demand, we have all these people. Our price used to be, let's say, 100. So here's our old price. I'm going to draw a line straight across. Used to be 100. At 100, now we have 4 people wanting it. Um, we're only willing to provide 2. Um, because our demand curve has shifted way out. There is a shortage of this product. Product may be plumbing services. What Galveston did, people started wanting people doubled the price, and actually a lot of times, you know, they were quadrupling, so I could even have drawn this demand curve way up here. So instead of 100, they were charging $400, but I'm just going to keep it simple and just say they doubled the price for simplicity. And a lot of people were really upset about this and say, you're taking advantage of us. How dare you do that? So there was discussion about often after a hurricane. I don't remember whether they did it in Galveston. I think they just left it because people were coming over from Houston to because they could make a lot more money in Galveston. And so one thing that happens when you have this, if you can make more money, there's the law of supply. More people are willing to provide it, such as working longer hours or coming from neighboring communities. On the other side, some people said, hey, I don't want to pay that kind of price. I can do it without. So notice, before, let's say if the price is 100, we only had these 2 people. Let's say we're looking at plumbers trying to stop leaks and get people with running water again. And so these first 2 people were willing to do it at 100. Now if we could raise the price to 200, we could get these 3 people doing it. And actually the higher price, the more people are willing to sell it, working longer hours, coming from further communities. On the other side, over here, at $100, we have a lot of people saying, hey, absolutely, I want to get it fixed, and I want to get it fixed now. But if you jump the price to 200, you have a couple of people say, hey, I think I can do without it for a little bit longer. I don't have the money. I'll figure out how to do some of this myself, and then when the price comes back down. And then you have this person who say, you charge me any price, I'm still not going to buy it. So notice we have 2 effects. One effect is people are willing to go to more effort to sell it. Buyers are willing to go without it. The other effect of this is we also have a couple of other things going on, such as, in fact, I had a couple of professors who wrote a book, I believe it's called The Doomsday Myth, and one thing they talked about was in England in Shakespeare's time, about 400 or 500 years ago, most of the buildings in London and England were built out of wood. Well, they had cut down a lot of the forests, tree prices started going up, and this was a major energy crisis because they heated their houses with wood, they built their houses with wood. A lot of stuff was wood. Well, if wood prices go up, one thing they start doing is let's find new sources of wood. So, hey, America looks really good. It's like one big wood place, very woody. And on the other, so they brought wood from the United States. So increase in the amount of wood. So here we have sellers saying, hey, at 200, it's worthwhile bringing wood from 1,000 miles away. On the other side, saying, well, thank you for your more expensive wood, but I think I'll conserve on my use of wood. I'm not going to buy as much wood because of the higher price. But we also started having technological effects. One effect was, for the demand side, instead of building out of wood, I'm going to substitute into something that's an alternative. I'm going to build my houses out of brick. I'm going to build my houses out of rock. And so I'm not going to have to use as much wood. Well, so that conserves on the use of wood. Likewise, I'm going to heat my houses now more with coal, not with wood. And so wood actually was, I think, sootier, but now we had the famous English coal, with the coal haze over London. Not that you didn't we probably had pretty big haze from wood fires before that with all the smoke. But on the supply side, sellers were saying, okay, let's find new sources of wood. But on the same side, we had other sellers saying, look, uh, I'm selling housing construction. I'm selling. Uh, I remember they talked. I think they talked about um, making iron. Well, instead of using wood, we'll use coal. Even for beer. And first, I believe they said when they made beer, it had kind of a coal taste, which didn't sell very well. But then they figured out how to get the taste out of it, and they started being able to use the new energy source was coal, much less than wood. Well, because of that, because of allowing the price to go up to equilibrium, they were able to solve this energy crisis and this wood crisis through price effects by four things. Number one, law of demand. People bought less at higher prices. Law of supply. More sellers were willing to sell it, going to longer distances to get it available. On the other side, you had it. So new alternatives. Coal. Sellers were using coal in their processes of making beer and making steel. You had buyers using coal to heating their houses. And so one case was the English wood crisis. Another case would be wells. Those big fish looking, does that look like Moby Dick? It's supposed to be a well. And so in the 1830s, wells were they turn them into oil, or not heat the houses, but that was used for oil lamps. And so oil started being hunted out of the Atlantic Ocean. Well, prices started going up as prices went up. And I'm just going to, instead of shifting the curves, I'm just going to say, oh, let's say the price is down here, just to make it a little bit simpler. Well, prices going up, buyers don't want to buy as much. They'll find other ways to light their houses. And likewise, sellers are going to go to greater expense to get the wells. They started going to the Atlantic Ocean, around the whole world to find well oil, going into the Arctic Ocean, the Antarctic seas, and just incredible effort. Moby Dick's a great book to kind of talk about some of the incredible effort. And another thing is people look for alternatives. And so what are some alternatives? Well, they started switching to oil. Oil before, they had some troubles refining it. It smelled bad when they refined it. Got the technological advance. So instead of buying, this was well oil, supply and demand, they switched to something totally different. They switched, the price went up. As prices go up, you switch into buyers and sellers switch into substitutes. So buyers, instead of using well oil, switch to kerosene. They switch to other things, and so they switch to substitutes. But notice, it's the price that showed people this is a scarce good. Don't use as much of it. Figure out how to use more of something else. So let the prices have that powerful effect in solving a lot of crises. Thank you.